folks, our guest on this week's Irish NFL show. Fantastic to have a guy born in Dublin who has the sixth most field goals in the season with 18, and went 37-52 during his college career, including the game-winning 39-yard field goal to upset Wisconsin in the 2019 college football season, formerly of the University of Illinois. Currently with the Los Angeles Chargers and bidding to become one of the first Irish NFL active players in 37 years. It's an honor to welcome James McCourt to the show. James, how's it going?
Oh, it's going great, guys. I appreciate you, getting me on here, and really excited to talk with you guys and chat about football and everything.
James, Michael kind of alluded to it in the intro there. It's 37 years since Neil O'Donoghue was kicking with the Cardinals, and in fairness to Neil, he had quite a decent career, nearly a decade kicking in the league. I suppose how you've obviously had a lot of media attention. I think even going back, a few years, Balls for the 42, the Irish Times, etc. How aware were you of Neil? Was it something that you were aware of kind of his kicking? And for you, what would it mean to have the opportunity, if it was to come to pass, to be the first Irish person in the NFL in 37 years?
Yeah, I heard of Neil I want to say when I was in middle school or high school. I looked up just out of curiosity, if there's been any Irishmen that have played American football, and definitely came across his name. But yeah, it's just an added bonus to the whole thing. I'm very proud of my Irish heritage, and it's really cool that it's really cool that there's two of us that are knocking on the door right now. The chances of that are pretty slim, and but it's just an added bonus to the whole thing that I can represent my home and my roots at such a big stage over here. So it's pretty incredible.
James, really take us back to, I suppose, the early stage when you got into the American football. Did you play in the other positions before you cemented yourself as a kicker, and the whole Illinois piece there? How did that come to pass?
Yeah, so it's funny. I came over and I played flag football growing up until about, I want to say, 8th grade, and I wanted a little more contact, and I was kind of a bigger kid growing up, a little chubby, so they threw me in on the O-line my first time out there, and I didn't stick long at that position. I think I was like left guard or something, and I just got tossed around a little bit, and I think we had tryouts one day, just who could kick a ball, and I had a soccer background, so I decided to put my hand up, and then it kind of went from there. And I was very fortunate with how it all kind of, panned out from there on out, because I had a kicking coach in 8th grade that ended up being the special teams coordinator at the high school I went to at St. Thomas Aquinas. And, it's such a powerhouse down there. So many guys come out of there all the time. And I just worked with him. His name's Tim Conrad, and he helped me out a bunch, just getting off the ground going and then getting recruited. And then, I didn't really, St. Thomas was such a good program that it was so competitive, so many good kickers coming in and out of there. I didn't really see a lot of playing time until my senior year. So even at that stage, it was like college. It took me a little bit to get going. But my senior year, I want to say it was October, my senior year, Illinois came calling, and I pretty much committed right on the spot. Not many high school kickers get scholarships right out, get preferred walk-ons coming out, and it was an opportunity I couldn't really pass up, just because I think there was an offer out to another kicker, and I just wanted to make sure that I grabbed it. But yeah, that's kind of how it went, the sped up version. But definitely a lot of stories on the road to it. But yeah, it was great. I love my time up in Champaign.
It's been a fantastic journey so far, James, and long may it continue. Can you maybe talk to us about the lead up to the NFL draft? We always hear about the rookie pro days, and obviously as a player whose position may be further down the list in terms of what round they may go in, or maybe in your case as an undrafted rookie, did you get the opportunity to work out for teams prior to it? Did teams come to a pro day or in Illinois, or did any particular team originally maybe reach out and show interest even before the draft so you had an idea?
Yeah. I can bring it back to the whole thing. So a rookie year is tough because your season doesn't really end. You go from the last game. We had a great last game. We beat Northwestern, our rival. First time I beat them, my time there. So that really was, an unbelievable way to finish off my college career. But right from there on out, you kind of get your mind a little rest, but like what's coming down the road. It's a long journey. Those 3 or 4 months, and those are very important months. So I knew going into that process that there was a lot of kickers in this class. It was just from COVID year, red shirts, 5th years, good seniors like, Cade York, who came out of LSU. I think he might have been a junior. Like, I'm 24. I'm pretty sure he's 21. So you can basically see there's 3 or 4 years of kickers that are coming out in one class. So I knew going in that it was going to be a very competitive process. And, I just kind of put my head down and decided just to attack it. I signed with a really good agency, Rob Roche, and at RSR. They have a lot of kickers on there with them. Justin Tucker's with them, Chase McLaughlin, the guys that was ahead of me at Illinois. So he really set me off on the right foot. But yeah, you really want to get a Senior Bowl invite. There's the top 3 of them. There's the Reese's one, the East-West Shrine game, and then the NFLPA game. And I, luckily enough, got the NFLPA invite. So right then I kind of knew maybe some teams had a little bit of interest in me. I knew going into my senior year, so I'll take it back even before that. Year prior to COVID year, my first year starting, I just wanted to start. I just wanted to play. NFL wasn't really there for me. Obviously it was my goal, but my goal at the time was just to start. And then I had a pretty good year, had some long kicks, and then all of a sudden I was put on Mel Kiper's list of guys after the season. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then COVID year happened, and I played maybe 5 games, and I could have come out there, but I was told by a couple of people to stay back, stick another year, and finish strong, and you'll be in the running with all the other guys. So I decided to do that, and I came back and had a solid year, I think. And and then I guess the NFLPA game, I was really lucky to go out there. I had a really good week of practice in front of the scouts, and I think that helped a lot. Good interview prep and all of that. And one thing led to the next. You have your pro day. So I went back up to Champaign. I had a pro day that went really well. I had a lot of prep for that. I actually went up to Buffalo and worked with Adam Tanowski up there as a kicking coach. And, he really prepped me mentally for what the day is going to be like. Super intense. It's a crazy environment because you're in there. You walk into so you go back to campus and you walk in to the indoor where we were kicking, and there's just 40 scouts there with their clipboards and just waiting for you to kick. And it's so unlike a game. You can't really compare it to a game because you kick 13, 14 field goals in a row. In a game, you go on, you kick. If you make it, it's good. If you miss it, you're sitting there with that. You got to digest everything. So I don't really understand how you can really get the best out of a kicker in those situations, but they want to see you do it in that. And I did well there. And then after that, some teams come calling with private workouts, and I guess we kind of narrowed it down with my agent that the teams on draft day and teams that would really have the most interest, I think, were the Bears, Colts, Saints, Rams, and I forget another team that really showed the most interest in the Dolphins, I think, through the process. And I honestly didn't have too much conversation with the Chargers prior to that. So that was pretty interesting. Definitely.
Yeah, it's funny how it can work out. We had Justin Simmons on previously, and he said that prior to being drafted, he hadn't had that much contact with the Broncos, and that's where he ended up. Now, just to kind of piggyback a little bit on that last question in terms of the kicking, because obviously kind of doing the prep for this, I was reading some of your interviews, and you talked about how you'd read Ronan O'Gara's book, who's now going on to have success as a head coach himself, Johnny Wilkinson's book, and some of the kind of interviews with Sexton, with Dan Carter, just kind of interested in the mental side of things. Because as you said, if you make the kick, it's great. Everybody's carrying you off the field. If you don't, you have to kind of sit with it and digest it. So how do you approach it? Because obviously kickers have different ways of going about it. So just kind of really interested in your approach to that, James.
Yeah, of course. So I think I can kind of attest to my, increase in accuracy and all of that from my junior to my senior year with how I attack my mental process in the off season and even through the season. And that kind of opened my eyes to how important that is. And, you have to have a short memory, whether it's a good kick or a bad kick, because like, you know, in golf, the previous shot has nothing to do with the next shot. This doesn't, like, if it's a great drive, it doesn't really matter because you still have to, that shot has no effect just on any way on the next one. Only mentally it does. Only if you let it. So you have to learn how to, you know, take your good kicks, bottle them and use it for later, and kind of, you know, forget your bad kicks pretty fast. And I kind of look back on my statistics on my my junior year, and I kind of had a trend that I would make 3 kicks in a row, then maybe I'd miss one. So I was very like, and that happened throughout the season. So I kind of realized, I kind of like did a little, you know, I dug deep and a little self, you know, talk or whatever. And I realized I kind of got seduced by success, is how I like to put it. So it was, I would feel good about how I was kicking, feel good. And maybe I would, you know, get lazy with my process because I was letting the previous kicks affect it, even if I made them, and then I would end up missing, and I would build up on that again. And then, so it was this pattern. So I kind of didn't want to get seduced by success. It was just something that I kind of wrote down, and I wrote it down every day, just in my notebook, about how that was my goal. And it was part of the process. You know, they always talk in every book that I read about it, everyone was, they always talk about the process, you know, the process, not the result. And when I started going into practice and into games, and you know, my good reps were the ones that I didn't even look at the result of the kick. It was just, did I focus on my process? Was my process there every kick? And then I would be happy with it no matter the result. And, you know, and then it ended up, the results came, there was good results out of that. So you have to stick with your process through the downs, the ups and the downs. And I found that very important. I found that to be true in a lot of the guys' books, you know, with kicking, with golf. You know, reading a book by Dr. Bob Bertels right here, How Champions Think. And it's kind of the same thing, you know, it's a very short-term memory, good and bad, being able to bottle up the good things, but not let it affect the next one in a bad way. So that's kind of a brief way of putting it. I could go in for, I love that stuff. I think that's super interesting. And, you know, any young athlete out there, if they can that's an edge, you know, you always want to try and find an edge and be an edge finder. And I found that working on my mental side was definitely a way I could find an edge and definitely make some more kicks.
James, we were fortunate to have the Chargers GM, Tom Telesco, on the show not too long after you were drafted, and he spoke very highly of you. He was full of praise for you, albeit at a very early stage in terms of the OTAs. You've obviously progressed further since then with the OTAs and obviously the mandatory training camp. How have you found that you're settling in with the new environment? And is there any particular players of, I suppose, the veterans that are acknowledging the rookies and helping them out at this early stage?
Yeah, you know, the environment in the NFL, you can never really fully prepare for it, and everyone says you can't, because it's something that you've never seen before, haven't experienced, and you just have to go through it as a rookie. You're only a rookie once, so you have to take in everything that you get. But it's amazing, you know, how it's just run, how clean it is, how efficient everything is, and I can only say great things about the Chargers and their organization, and how, you know, coming in as an outsider and now being fully into the in the building for a month and a half or so, you know, it's incredible how efficient it's run. And, you know, I think every day you go out there and you see some of the guys at practice, and I'm a bit mesmerized, because, you know, you see these guys you watch on TV every Sunday for the past 5 years, and you're just like, wow, this is pretty cool. You kind of have to pinch yourself a little bit, but, you know, at the end of the day, it's the kicking is the same. It's the same thing that I've done for my whole life. There's the yellow pipes are still there, and the hashes are actually brought in a little bit, so the kicks are a little bit straighter. But I just approach every practice like that, and I approach every practice like it's my Super Bowl, because it pretty much is at this stage of my career. As an undrafted rookie, you know, you really have to make a good impression on the coaches every way you do in the front office, because, you know, they're looking. They want to see what you're made of in these situations. They want to put you in tough situations, and everything that you do is being, you know, scrutinized and evaluated. So it's very important that you're on your toes, but in a good way. They don't want to make you feel uncomfortable, but they definitely want you to feel their presence. And no, but it's been really cool. It's been an awesome experience. I'm super happy with how it's gone so far, and I'm also super fortunate with the coaches I've had. You know, Coach Ficken and Coach Gold are the two guys there. Coach Gold, we call him Beep. He's the assistant, and he's Robbie Gold's brother. So he has a lot of insight into the kicking, and he's helped me out a bunch from technical side. And Coach Ficken, he's awesome. He's his first year. He's with the Vikings for a long time. I can't say enough good things about him. But also the vets in the room that we have, Dustin, he's an awesome guy. He's helped me out a bunch already just with the process of being a professional, and I've just been watching him. I probably asked like so many questions. They're probably pretty tired of me at this point. But him, Josh Harris, he's a Pro Bowl long snapper, so he's the best you can have in the game right now. And J.K. Scott, the punter, he's doing really well. So it's been really cool to see how those guys work and just how professional they are. And it's definitely cool because you kind of forget those guys have families, and a lot of they're moving their families out to California, and they have all these responsibilities that seem so far away from me right now. But I can only tip my hat to them because they're really nice, and they've included me in everything they've done. So so far it's been a really smooth experience. I'm very excited to get back out there for a training camp though. So
you've sort of answered this question a little bit already, James, but obviously being with the Chargers, and they've made some really interesting moves in this offseason, especially in free agency. Never mind bringing yourself in. What's the vibe like there? I mean, how confident are these guys of maybe taking the West this year? Because they've really done a lot in the offseason to suggest that they could be right up there even come February in Arizona next year.
Yeah, I can't talk too much about them as a team just because I still feel like I'm very new to it, and I don't want to say something because I'm just a rookie and everything. But it's if there's one thing I can say is that they just know how to attack every day, and they're super professional. Everyone is just you have to be at this stage, and the roster. I don't know too much about the NFL, but the roster seems very complete in my eyes. But they have a chip on their shoulder. Definitely, you can tell from last season, and it's also a very new team. Coach Daly mentioned the team meeting that there's 50 guys in the room that weren't there last year. So it's a lot of the guys. They know it's a new team. They've had a lot of they've had a very active off season in the signing and free agent signings and all that. So I can tell the coach they're really pumped up. They definitely and the players, I think they're super hungry. They seem and. No, I mean, I'm obviously very hoping I'm going to work really hard to be part of that team because I think they can do something really special. But no, I can't say enough good things about all of them.
You mentioned earlier, James, that obviously you played a lot of soccer when you were younger, and we're recording this on the 6th year anniversary of Robbie Brady's header against Italy. And if I take you back to 2019 and the walk-off win, upsetting number 6 seed Wisconsin, and it just exploded. I mean, it was everywhere. It was all over the internet. It got and I just want to know, like, what was that experience like? So everybody wanted to talk to you because it had been such a big upset. I think I saw somewhere that like into the fourth quarter, they were still at like 98-99% win probability. You guys go and get the win, and then all of a sudden, like, all of the media is there in your face, but not just obviously the US media, but I think you had a conference call with Irish media afterwards. So suddenly everybody wants a piece of you. What was that like?
It was definitely cool. I definitely had my 15 minutes, but no, it was an unbelievable experience. Actually, like it's really cool to go back to and think about now. At the time, I didn't know what was going on. I was probably in over my head a little bit, but it was really cool. It was just nice, to see my grandparents back home, my family back home could see me in the newspaper. That meant a lot to me. My granddad, who passed away a year after that, he got to see me in the newspaper. That he's in the Irish Times. He reads every day, so it was just stuff like that meant the world to me. I never thought that football would grant me an opportunity to have a presence back in Ireland. I still think my cousins and my aunts and uncles back there still don't really fully understand how I have a presence back there. But it's I remember my grandma that lives in Dublin, and then she told me that she was I think she said that she was like stopped because of her last name and my name. And she's lived in Dublin or in Ireland for her whole life, and I only lived there for 8 years. And she got recognized or not recognized, whatever, noticed for her last name because of me. And it was just some really funny stories came out of it. You know, I could definitely go on and on about it, but it's no, that by itself, the kick itself, having the team win against Wisconsin #6, our program needed that at that time. But also everything that came along with that was really, really cool. It was, that's all I can really say about it. It's a really cool experience. And, I hope I can do something again like that again in the future for another team. But that was special for sure.
James, you mentioned relations back home, and one familiar face over here is Leinster's Gary Ringrose, who's a cousin of yours. Have you sought any advice from him, or has he given you any advice on the other side in terms of the career, or is it purely congratulations at this stage?
Yeah, right now it's pretty much all congratulations. Just a couple texts here and there about kind of comparing schedules and stuff like that, and the hard work that goes into it. But he's he's my cousin. I've only really met him, I think, a handful of times in person. It's been a while since I've met him in person. It was before I think he was. I don't think he was still in secondary school. I think he was just knocking on the door of the Leinster. I don't think he had his Irish cap yet, but he it's just cool. It's pretty cool to say that. Definitely gets me some street cred back home. I can say that Gary Ringrose is my cousin, but no, he's definitely someone I'll probably ask questions in the future about stuff that's going on, about how to be, because he's so professional, obviously, and rugby over there is so big now, and he's a big name for sure. But right now it's pretty much just back and forth on Instagram. Nothing too crazy over there.
Big shout out to your family, cousins watching this back home in Ireland. How's the form, folks? Just finally, James, Daniel Whelan, Dan's going to be on the show in a couple of weeks, which I guess for Irish fans, for fans across Europe that are willing to see players succeed in the league, it's fantastic. Really appreciate both yourself and Dan making time for us. Have you been discussing much things with Daniel? Have you had a chance to maybe meet up or talk to him about the journey so far, or is that something that you plan to do in the future?
Yeah, actually, so I haven't reached out to Dan. It's definitely something I want to do just once everything kind of settles with training camp and all of that. But it was funny. We went out to. I was out in Arizona for a Coach Zahner over here. He runs like a kicking combine, and it's something that was in the process of the pre-draft. Also, I forgot to mention. And you go out there, and Coach Zahner, he's kind of a very renowned name in the specialist community over here. And you go out there, get graded, and you do like kind of over a weekend. He gives you kind of a draft grade, and he talks to the scouts. So I went out there, and Dan and myself did very well. And I actually was in the same elevator as Dan, but I had no idea he was Irish. I had no idea. So I noticed him. He was tall, and I was like, this guy kind of looks Irish for some reason. Like he had kind of an Irish way about him. And but it was funny. I had no idea that he was until kind of I want to say my dad mentioned something a couple weeks before the draft that there was an Irish guy out of he's at UC Davis. Yeah. So which is pretty cool. And I heard he was really talented. Obviously he went to a little bit of a smaller school, so I wasn't too familiar with him. I didn't ever saw him on TV or anything like that, but I know my punter at school, Blake, he mentioned that their UC Davis had this amazing punter, and I was like, oh, cool. And just turns out he was Irish. I'm pretty sure he's more Irish than me. I mean, in quotation, I'm pretty sure he moved over here when he was, I think he was older than I was. So it's definitely cool. I definitely want to reach out to him and just kind of touch base. I think my dad wants to reach out to his dad and stuff like that. But no, it's pretty cool. It's pretty incredible. The two of us come out in the same year, and yeah.
Well, fingers crossed. We might see, a couple of Irish flags on an NFL field this year. We want to wish you the very best. I saw a really interesting stat that said of the 90-man rosters, 57% were drafted, but 43% of the 93-man rosters are undrafted. And as a Broncos fan and a guy who was with the Chargers, Chris Harris Jr. Had a pretty good career having gone undrafted. So listen, you've been really generous with your time, James. With just continued success and all the very best for the future.
Oh, cheers, guys. I really appreciate it. And in the future, if you guys want to, get on again, just let me know. Definitely, I enjoy doing this, and have a lot of questions for you guys for sure. But I appreciate you guys having me on.